The problem that we've solved is that we've built an e-commerce platform where you can buy and sell goods online without providing any personal information whatsoever.
Sure. Hey guys, Justin Wise for Breaking Bitcoin here. I am here with Cap Amarasinga. He's from Project Particl, and I know a little bit about Particl. This is actually take two, so awesome. But anyways, I'm grateful for the opportunity to stand, not sit down, and hear a little bit more about Particl and what Cap's here to talk about and what problem they're trying to solve. So Cap, thank you so much for taking the time.
No worries, thanks man.
Yeah.
So yeah, Particl, the problem that we've solved is that we've built an e-commerce platform where you can buy and sell goods online without providing any personal information whatsoever.
Sure.
So what we've basically done is we've built our own blockchain, okay? And by the way, this product's already live, so you can go to particl.io and download the desktop client to your desktop and start playing with our marketplace today if you want to. So the way it works is this: Particl has got its own blockchain, and you download that client like a Spotify client, and it connects you to the Particl blockchain, and you can already then start seeing the listings of goods that are there for sale.
Sure.
And you yourself can browse listings and buy things if you're interested, or list things that you want to sell. Okay. Now, as I said, we enable peer-to-peer e-commerce without providing any personal information. And the way we do that is, as I said, because we're on a blockchain, we use a native token called part for all transaction settlements. Okay. So the Particl blockchain is a blockchain uses part. And the part tokens, they use ring CT technology. So all the transactions that occur on this network, the buyer, the seller, and the amounts are obscured from third-party analysis. Now, how do we actually enable people to buy and sell goods online without giving up your name, date of birth, sign-up stuff, just giving a shipping address?
Right.
How do we, yeah.
So you do give the shipping address?
You don't have to give a shipping address,
okay, of course.
But how do we otherwise enable this? Well, we use our own escrow system. Now that's running on a smart contract. It's an automated escrow. So whenever I'm interested in buying something, let's just say, let me get this mobile phone, right?
Sure.
You see this mobile phone on the Particl Marketplace and I'm selling it. What I have done is when I list this, I create an escrow contract with this, and if I'm selling this for $50, I basically put $50 as a seller into this escrow deposit.
Okay.
And you as a potential buyer go, oh, I'd like to buy this phone. And you say, okay, right, I'm going to put $50 for the cost of the phone into that deposit contract, plus a further $50 as a deposit, okay?
As the buyer?
As the buyer.
So I'm actually putting up
You're putting $100
okay.
in, and me as the seller, I'm putting $50 in for a $50 phone. I then give you the phone, you receive it, and you say, hey, I received it, that's great. And I say, yeah, I sent it to you, of course you did. And then we agree that that transaction's been settled. Then me as the seller, I get my $50 deposit back, plus the $50 you put there to pay for the phone. You get the phone and you get $50 of your deposit back.
Sure.
And if we basically say, okay, something's gone wrong, you can either delay the resolution until a resolution's found. But if you say, oh, if either party says this isn't going down, then you both lose deposits. So that way, both the buyer and the...
Okay, so it's a disincentive system, right?
Exactly. Buyer and the seller are incentivized to be honest towards each other. In this system, an honest buyer and an honest seller, if it goes wrong and they can't agree, they both get double penalties. Even a pure scammer comes out with no profit in this.
Sure.
So they're disincentivized. So that's how you do peer-to-peer commerce without any personal info. Now you factor in the buyer-seller amounts obscured from third-party analysis, and the really interesting feature that's coming up that really expands on what we can do is that we're building functionality to enable you to put an infinite number of marketplaces on the network. So it won't just be one market anymore. You as a seller could go download this client, and when we release that functionality, which should be out in the few coming months, you know, say you're a manufacturer and you have like 20 suppliers, you know, you're manufacturing cars and you have 20 different parts from 20 suppliers. You could go to the Particl network and you could create 20 different markets, and each market, you know, it could just be, on this market, I'm only listing this good for sale.
Okay.
And it's just between, that market's got its own address. So then, okay, you're the supplier, I'm a manufacturer, and we both know the address of that one market. And as long as you don't give the address out and I don't give the address out, no one even knows that market exists.
Okay.
So you could have...
It's just our little secret.
It's our little secret, effectively. So you can do proper B2B, if you think, if you're trying to mask your manufacturing supply chains from competitors, that's great. If you're trying to protect your intellectual property, even better.
Right.
You could have an infinite number of markets and they're all customized and they're all verifiable because you can do it in such a way that only you, when you create that market, can list things into that market. So say you're like an Amazon seller, and you're using our services instead. You've got a shop on our place as well. You're selling the exact same stuff. There's no commissions on our platform. There's no charges on our escrow. So for instance, you don't have to waste time looking for a trusted human third party to act as an escrow holder, and you don't have to pay him a fee. Plus, you don't have to pay a commission fee when you sell goods on our platform. So we're actually cheaper to transact on than any existing platform.
Right.
Right. So you could run an Amazon Marketplace, give the address for your Particl market there. Hey, get the same goods 20% cheaper. And if Amazon's doing, say, 40% commission, well, you're still selling those goods cheaper, but making more money.
Yeah.
Right?
You also don't have to worry about Amazon coming in if you have a very good supply chain and cutting you out as the middleman.
Exactly.
Which is your hustle, right? And that's all that anybody can ask for sometimes.
Best thing about this will be this will be one of the things we're announcing in November the 1st, but we'll be making it very, very easy to send Bitcoin into our client, and automatically it gets converted to the part token. So
an atomic swap structure or something like that?
We do support atomic swaps, and we'll be building that stuff towards the end of 2020. The way we're doing this is using a sort of automated bot client linked to an exchange at the moment.
Sure.
But yes, atomic swap functionality is supported on our chain. We have been doing R&D with Bitcoin, Litecoin. We actually did proof of concept with Decred back in 2017 to show it can be done.
Very similar hashing functions, so very similar to anything that's built off that hashing function.
Pretty much.
Can do the atomic swap.
So for me, I'm excited because this is providing liquidity to a lot of and non-speculative organic use case to a lot of other cryptocurrencies, where they can basically use our ecosystem independent of fiat altogether. Sure. And I think that's a big deal. And then when you start factoring in the no commissions and the B2B use case and the B2C use case and the privacy, well, that's where I stand.
Okay, cool, I like it. So you're trying, if you were to put it into some simple terms for somebody who, again, just kind of heard the 10-second elevator pitch, you're trying to basically replace Amazon. But it's not just Amazon, it's also Craigslist. It's also Amazon Co, right? So, it's also, again, like you said, kind of the supply chain and B2B, and there's privacy aspects and functions as well, which is pretty neat, man. Cool. So just some questions that came to my mind. I'm going to ask some hard ones first, and I think some easy ones. So we talked about kind of the disincentive system. So the way that Particl works is you say that we put up $100 for the $50 fund. By the way, that's a promise. You said you'd sell that fund to me for $50.
Oh,
no! I just need a new phone. Sorry, I got a Samsung. How inconvenient do you think it is for somebody to put up $100 instead of $50? How long is that process? At what point, or and again, did you guys think of any alternatives to that, or? So
we are currently building in bid cancellation and variable escrow features.
Okay.
So it can be essentially set by the seller effectively, or agreed by buyer and seller.
Sure.
So there is a variable escrow function in development. I think in terms of, I like to think of the ecosystem, it's an open source project.
Sure.
So an SDK is in the pipeline, or it's further down our development map from where we are.
Cool.
But with that in mind, I welcome developers to look at our GitHub repositories and to look at our ecosystem. I welcome companies to look at us and start going, well, do we want to provide lending services for escrow, people who need escrow? Do we want to provide insurance services for people using escrow in case of failure? So I think there's actually a lot of room for third-party integration for, not just B2B, but for existing financial and commercial providers to be integrated with us.
And that would be a pipeline and that would be an incentive for the lender. That would also be an incentive for the borrower as well, because now I don't have to put up my capital. I just pay a small fee to the lender, and it's still, if you can still outpace whatever your brick and mortar competition is, you're still doing something that's really good. And on top of that, you can also house that within the fact that this is private, this is secure, et cetera, which you can't get on Amazon. The best that you have is HTTPS and SSL. Good luck, cross your fingers, so. And
you're not even worrying about data hacks, because if they take you hack Amazon, you suddenly got all your sellers, all your sellers' information. If there's no personal information, just shipping addresses, what are you taking at the end of the day? Yeah.
I like that idea. So where are you guys at? So you said that people could go to the website right now. What is the website again?
Particl.io.
Particl.io.
So it's this thing. There you go.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's a good shirt too. I like it. Man.
Yeah.
I dig it.
Thanks, man. So you can go
I
to
like
this.
the design at the bottom.
Thank you. I'd like to just thank Herloff over there. He's did the design.
Shout out to you, sir.
Yeah. So you can just definitely go to this website. You can download the desktop clients. We've got versions for Linux, iOS, Linux, Apple, and Windows.
Okay.
Mobile platforms development is again on our roadmap.
Gotcha.
That's for sort of later this year. And yeah, by all means, start test driving it. The version you'll get today, we consider it an alpha in the sense that it works. You can
Sure.
buy, sell goods. Hopefully, in the next couple of weeks, we'll have the little Bitcoin integration box.
Gotcha.
You can just acquire the part token really easily. If you want to get hold of part tokens right now, they're on HitBTC, they're on Bittrex. You know, you can check it out on the website. Again, there's a list of exchanges if you want to. Yeah, we got listed on there last week. It was amazing.
Cool.
Oh, dude, congratulations.
Congratulations.
man.
Awesome.
Yeah. So by all means, check out the website if you want to find more. But there's quite a few ways. With the announcements what we're doing, I'm doing a speakers talk on November the 1st. I'll be at the industry stage and I'll be giving some pretty major announcements that relate to partnerships, mainstream adoption, and vendor networks. And I'm not going to say who we're partnering with. All I'm going to say is fiat gateways, debit and credit cards. Getting part is going to be really easy.
Cool, man. I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Well, I'm excited. I'm excited to hear you guys at Epicenter on November 1st, correct?
Yeah.
We'll be there in just a couple days. Just got to make it through the Wednesday because just got to find something to do on that day. Okay, so you got some partnerships coming up. We talked about that. You guys are on Bittrex. They can get you on HitBTC as well. And right now, you do need the token to participate in the ecosystem.
Yes.
There's not any, like you said, you guys are working on integrating the Bitcoin very simply. So how would that look? Like you do that.
So you would send Bitcoin into the client and it would get swapped into part immediately for transacting. You don't need to then download.
And that's the app that you download on your desktop or mobile
When you download the client software, it will just allow you to send Bitcoin to it straight away.
Awesome. So you just get a Bitcoin deposit address. Yeah.
And it's great because I think you can then start. You've effectively got L2 privacy for Bitcoin if you think about it, because send BTC, get swapped to part ring CT to another address, back out to BTC.
And now is it? Are you guys? Again, we talked about this earlier, so forgive me for repeating the question, but it's not an atomic swap. It is basically an exchange bot that is automatically doing the conversion, right? Okay.
Yeah. Atomic swaps will come out later and the underlying stuff is there and works, but making it robust enough for that sort of deployment is stuff that we're working the fine-tuning out.
So essentially, anybody that was doing the chain analysis could see. Are you recycling the address? Is it going to be a one constant one? I feel that depending on where you guys are trying to stand, it'd probably be one constant address, probably for all of time, unless something went technologically didn't change. So they would see the transaction to the exchange bot, but then your money, and not to use this term, but your money is effectively moved through the order book. Yeah. Comes out somewhere completely different. It's almost random, from an independent observer, and goes right in the Particl. Okay. Cool. I like that. Now, are there any? This is generally the part of the conversation that either I like to have or I don't like to have. Token economics. So, is there anything besides utilizing part on the ecosystem for the part token? Essentially, is there any other incentive to acquire it, to hold it, to utilize it, things of that nature?
So, the incentives I think are really strong. There are currently 9 million part tokens in circulation. Well, 8 million because 915K is locked. Now, of those 8 million, it's a proof of stake network, which you just have to appreciate it's a proof of stake network. Current PA inflation supply is 3%, which will go down to 2% per annum from the middle of 2020 for eternity. Okay. Now, the way I look at it is this: this is at the moment the market dynamics. I would say Particl as a network, little known, relatively illiquid. Okay, it's $1 a part token. It's pretty damn cheap. Now, what I would say is this: 50% of the holders are staking, so it's locked. My thinking is this: if you're a vendor and you're using this platform to transact, you're creating an escrow contract that locks up some of the supply. Now, if you then sell the goods, you could potentially stake some of that part as well, which locks up more of the supply. So, as organic, non-speculative transaction activity on this network increases, the circulating supply is going to come diminishing as more values entering it. Low supply, low inflation, every transaction has a micro fee, and those then get added on top of your staking rewards. So if you're an early, mid, or I'd even argue late stage adopter, and you're a vendor, you're getting profit multipliers potentially with this network by being an early adopter that you would never get on Amazon or eBay or Alibaba.
Yeah.
Plus, you're not paying commissions on escrow or on your sales.
It's a pretty big value proposition.
Huge.
I like that idea.
You know, I think of some of the markets this applies to, you know, pharmaceuticals arbitrage, you know, ethically, you work within the regulatory framework. I think that's a huge market that this could appeal to. Any potential arbitrage markets for goods. If you start thinking on a bigger B2B, real mainstream level, we're talking trillions, potentially.
Absolutely.
A network like, I think this will inspire clones. I think people will look at our model and they're going to go, how can we copy this?
Sure. And kind of on that same topic, do you have, you know, are there any coins that you kind of consider your competition, or were there any projects that inspired you, or, you know, also if you wouldn't mind, like kind of just speak to how you got involved with crypto as well, and kind of what your ethos or philosophy is like in this space.
So, I mean, if you want to look, we're by far the most advanced. We have a live working product, and we have a very rapid development time frame from here, and we have pretty significant partnerships and adoption stuff coming up. If you want to, you can look at products like Syscoin, BitBay, SafeX. You know, of those, the projects I probably respect the most are BitBay, because they incorporate the same double deposit escrow, and they have a genuine decentralization ethos, so I have a lot of respect for them. I think SafeX, they've not yet released a product, and Syscoin, they have a marketplace, but they moved in a direction which is very, if I can be really upfront, centralized, KYC centric, kind of removes all, and the tokenomics are pretty bad if I'm just speaking off the cuff, which I'm not really because I'm on a camera, but I'm just going to say Syscoin's tokenomics are freaking awful. Their project is dire. I'm just going to say it now. They're the worst. And they have a horror. Anyway, I'm not going to go on. I got better things to do. How did I get into crypto? I want to thank Ethereum for that. So my background, I work in emergency medicine. So I'm an ER doc based in the UK. Now, I discovered Bitcoin in 2012, and I said, I'm going to put 5K, 6K. I thought this was the next big thing. I thought, this is amazing. I just saw it straight away. And I put it off every day, and then one person put me off. And then literally 12 months later, it went from like $10 to $1,200. And I remember crying on a night shift, driving home. I was like, oh. Anyway.
I could have been rich.
Could have been so rich. I've discovered Ethereum through a random Google newsfeed article. Varuni Vera on Vox was talking about Ethereum around the time of DAO, and thought smart contracts. Immediately put together what the potential for this was in terms of, you know, creating value through efficiencies. And I thought, I'm going to get me on this. And that's when I started educating myself financially, learning about, you know, cryptocurrency. If you want to learn how to become independent financially, not necessarily even if you're out there to make money, just learn how cryptocurrency markets work. Go study exchange mechanics. It's the most fascinating thing, you know. From my background, to just look at this stuff socially, it's so interesting to me because it's so relevant to what I see on a day-to-day basis. I see a lot of stuff to do with social and economic injustice, and it's crazy, and inherent inefficiencies in our day-to-day. And you just go, can there be something better? Can there be something more equivocal, something fairer, better than what we have? And I can see it, and I can see a greater route to independence, to freedom. It's incredible. I think the technology that people have here, you know, we can bring the old stock. I mean, you can give real financial control to people, and they can take control of their financial educations, and that is a real step towards independence. Too many people throw their independence away in trust and in apathy, and it's a shame because people can then get exploited, and I hate to see that, and people do get exploited, and it's sad.
That kind of fits with your background as well. And I agree with you as well. You know, I discovered cryptocurrency. I mean, to be honest, I was kind of well, not nowadays, 2019, but relatively to people who got into crypto in 2012, 2014. I didn't get involved with cryptocurrency until 2016. And I originally got involved for the money. But at some point you take the red pill, and coming, again, as kind of upfront about, I generally approach things from the lens of a Bitcoin maximalist. I mean, and when I say that, focusing on security, focusing on having unconfiscatable funds, focusing on restoring people power back to the people, because I've seen throughout history exactly what happens when governments take control. But on top of that, so what's interesting about cryptocurrency is you have this technological innovation, or this technological revolution, that has brought many different sectors together, so very strange bedfellows that you've never really seen before. So you have finance, you have economics, you have fintech, you have kind of computer science, you have philanthropy, and then you have multiple other different sections. And then on top of that, you have kind of this stew philosophy of libertarianism or anarcho-capitalism, or objectivism if you go far enough down the rabbit hole. And what's just interesting is that all the different camps that you can see and all the different passions you can see. So it's actually pretty refreshing to get that, to see that passion in somebody who's developing a project. So
Thanks, man.
Cool, man. Okay, you already told us where we could find you, and you said people could go get the token on Bittrex or
Hit BTC.
Okay, it's about $1 right now.
Yeah.
All right, cool. That's pretty darn cheap.
Yeah.
Do you have any final thoughts or anything? I mean, honestly, there's a couple. You're a pretty interesting guy, so if you don't mind, what's kind of like what's on your radar right now? Like, what do you think is like the most interesting thing going on in crypto at the moment?
Aside from us, the thing that I really loved was MakerDAO.
Cheeky, I like it.
Yeah.
MakerDAO, okay.
If I'm going to give respect to a project, I'd say MakerDAO. If you want a decentralized, trustless stablecoin, I don't hold MKR tokens. This is me just giving my own. This is me not even talking for the project. It's me personal endorsement. I think if you want an honest, decentralized, trustless stablecoin with a very clear-cut mechanism, DAI, D-A-I, and that's, partly links back to my Ethereum roots and entering all of this, but of the projects I've seen, that one interests me.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, seeing how that's held a one-to-one peg with the USD despite, a 90% drop in the underlying collateral Ethereum, it's worth studying MakerDAO, guys. If you can read a white paper and you've got several attempts to do this, just get that one in your head. That's elegance. And that's the sort of future that, decentralized finance, that kind of freedom and return to independence, and as you said, holding control of your funds so that no one can exploit you in ways you don't imagine. Yeah.
We got the chance to sit down with somebody who's developing a project based on the DAI ecosystem, and on Compound and on Ray. And it was really interesting to sit there and talk to him, and his thoughts about that. Because honestly, for a lot of people in cryptocurrency right now, because again, just to be involved in the space, you generally have to hold an asset, right?
Yeah.
And that puts you in an interesting scenario where, we've the memes, the roller coaster, the just the being in crypto, and it's pretty neat. And it's, obviously being somebody who's genuinely interested in technology or the philosophy, right? So whether you approach it from a computer science background, because you can see those individuals as well, so people who are programmers at heart and get intellectually interested in cryptocurrency. And then you have libertarians who distrust the government or believe in freedom, and they approach it from that philosophical standpoint, and then they just happen to either get rich or very poor as a result of holding on to something that they believe. So it's pretty interesting. I honestly think that from what I've seen, and I'd have to do a little bit more studying, but DAI does represent a pretty decent opportunity right now for a lot of people to escape that. As you said, it's held a very nice peg to the dollar, a one-to-one, despite Ethereum falling off a cliff with most other cryptocurrencies as well, valued against BTC. One could argue about USD valuation. But that's a $700 million ecosystem, and it's working. It's working right now. And not only that, you have, because it's collateralized, you have the ability to earn interest. Yeah. So a lot of people who would have taken, who would have avoided the strategy of not having a trading strategy, again, because a lot of people, whether they want to trade, so whether they're whether they're watching, shows like ours and trying to learn how to trade, or whether they're watching any other kind of program or trying to learn any kind of trading strategy, a lot of people who don't put in the work to learn end up buying high and selling low for the most part, because they're trying to move their liquidity around and just recapture that 2017 bull run.
Yeah.
A lot of people are. But just moving into DAI, they would have just as much money, they would have rode out 2018, and they would have earned interest as well.
Yeah.
So, and it's just pretty neat how that whole ecosystem works together. And again, I honestly, I'm not an expert in that, so I'd like to do more research, but it's pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting. Final thoughts?
I think it's been a great interview.
Yeah, awesome, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, man.
Give me a hug.
Yeah, for sure,
right.
man.
There you go. You're a cool dude, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you. And you're a good talker, man. You're well spoken. I really appreciate it, man.
Appreciate
and
it.
I've got to talk to some really neat people here, so it's cool to see the it's cool if it's dry. I can deal with that. It's cool if it's very technical. I can deal with that. But it's cool to see passion. It's cool to see somebody who.
It's cool to see the right guys.
Yeah, it's cool to see the right guys, man. So thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for taking the time, Cap.
No worries, dude.
Yeah, much appreciated.
Appreciate it.
And this is the only audio we have today, so.
Cool. So do it
Okay.
again.
Yeah, so we need to start over. I'm sorry about that.
That's cool.
It's all good.
Test one.
It was off to it was off to a strong start. Cool.
Two's gonna be awesome.
Well,
Now you have to say his name again.
well, no, Amara Singha, I got it, man. Some of my
You
best.
nailed it.
It's different.
You got it straight first time.
Thank
It's
you.
great.
Appreciate it. It's
yeah.
a lot of trying, man. A lot of camera work. All right. Now I can say like I know a little bit about Particl, right? Now I don't have to sell.